guys, it's John with LearningGuitarNow.com, and in this podcast, I want to show you how to play a lick in the style of B.B. King. This lesson is in the key of C, and we're going to analyze a lick that's something similar that B.B. King would play over slow style blues. If you'd like the tab, the backing track, and the interactive version, think about becoming an All Access Pass member. As an All Access Pass member, you also gain access to over 100 hours of premium video, blues, and slide guitar lessons on the site, as well as numerous backing tracks, quick tip videos, and a support community that can help you build your skills as a blues guitar player. Now, let's go ahead and start this podcast. Okay, this lick is in the key of C. Let's go ahead and break this lick down, and I'll show you how to play it. Slowly, it sounds like this. That's the lick we're analyzing. And once again, this is the key of C. We're starting at the very beginning of the 12-bar blues. We're going to wait 6 counts. I'm playing this. I'm counting as a 12-8 blues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then on the 7th count, I'm going to rake up to the strings, and then I'm going to hit the 8th fret of the bottom E string twice, once with a downstroke, and then with an upstroke, the 8th fret right here on the high E string. Then I'm going to go 10 to 8 on the B string, and then 10 to 8 on the G string. And then I'm just going to slightly bend that G string on the 8th fret for a little bit of a tension. You know, that's the minor third. You have the major third right above it. So that's a typical bluesy sound when you do that. Just slightly bending it to almost getting to that pitch of the major third, but not quite. We're taking a note from the major pentatonic scale, using that 10-8 on the B string there. Then sliding to the minor pentatonic on the 10-8 on the G string. Let that hang, and when the 4th chord comes around, the F7, immediately on the beat, we're going to bend with our first finger on the 7th fret of the G string. Bring it down. Now hit 10th fret with your 3rd finger. That is the root on the D string here. That's the C note. Hit it twice. Like that. I'll hit it twice quick. I'll use a down upstroke and then slide into the 9th fret of the G string and hit the 8th fret of the B string. And then hit that one twice. Then we're going to play this phrase here. We're going to go 8, 10, 9. And then when the 1 chord comes back in again, you bar that bottom 2 strings, the 8th fret on the high E and the B with your first finger. I like to do an upstroke. You can try a downstroke as well. Upstroke those 2 strings, and then hit the 10th fret on the D string twice. Pretty sweet lick. You'll hear B.B. King do that type of stuff a lot. So that is how that lick is performed. Let's take a look at a couple of cool aspects with it. Basically, you're blending the major pentatonic with the minor pentatonic in this little lick here. The first little section, major pentatonic. Then we switch to minor pentatonic. Then this is basically major pentatonic here, that 7th fret over the 4 chord F7. And then we're going to the major pentatonic as well, sliding into that 9th fret of the G string. And then just playing the same notes just in a row, those 3, 8, 10, 9. And then hitting the bottom 2. I find B.B. King does that a lot. He'll hit the key that it is in this case it's C, and then hit the octave below or maybe above sometime. You You can experiment with just hitting, the 8th fret on the E string, and that's all. That would be a great exercise to do if you want to improve, your picking. When I'm doing that type of lick, I'm going down, up, down, up, down. So if you wanted to do an exercise, you could just keep repeating that. Added a couple more notes on the end. Slow it down. There's different variations of what you could do with an exercise like that. The key is, you can change it up, and as you want to add another element to it, just start exploring new ideas. So you have, and then maybe add a couple notes at the end, and then strike the bottom two instead of hitting one. If you can't get a part really good, that's the best way of mastering a little section, is just to take that one little part and do it over and over again until you got it, and then add it to the rest of the lick. That whole lick, once again, is this. Also take note of the vibrato. You're going to want to vibrato that first 8th fret on the high E string. And then you're going to vibrato that 10th fret of the D string twice. Just keep it vibratoing. I mean, that's kind of a difficult thing to do, is just to keep vibratoing that one note. You just have to practice your vibrato every day if that's too difficult for you. And then vibratoing that 8th fret of the B string. But it's an excellent study in learning how to do a very simplistic B.B. King style lick, blending the minor pentatonic and the major pentatonic, and just adding a few different elements, such as the bending that 7th fret a tad. Also taking the 8th fret right before that phrase. We did this. Slightly bend. It's not really much of a bend at all. You're just kind of moving it gradually as we approach the 4 chord, and then bending that 7th fret. But that's not really a commonly used pattern that you see tons of guitar players using. You more commonly see this minor pentatonic scale, but adding this in, the 7th fret on the G string, is really cool and a little bit of a jazzier move. Adds a major sound to it, and then also adding that 9th fret of the G string right there. I always look at that as like an F chord position. Your basic guitar 101 F chord. You just play it up here because we're in the key of C. So you can always use these 3 notes when you're soloing. Anyway, I'm just improvising here, but that's kind of how you start piecing the things together. That's how I like to piece things together. So that's one little simple thing, or a few simple things you can do. Add these 3 notes, and add that 7th fret of the G string. And you're going to sound more like B.B. King just by adding that, and then blend it with your minor pentatonic scale, and then you're breaking out of this. Instead of doing that all the time, which sounds cool, but you don't want to just sit there and do that all the time. You get a totally different sound when you just, start adding a couple notes here and there. And then it's just a matter of learning how to phrase and use them in a blues context. If you'd like to learn more about playing improvisational blues guitar, please check out the All Access Pass. And I also have numerous blues courses that teach you how to improvise in this kind of a style. That's it for this podcast, and I'll see you next time.